Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. Russia's nuclear threat rhetoric seems to be reaching a crescendo as Russia plans to hold drills simulating the use of tactical nuclear weapons. This was announced by the Defense Ministry of Russia days after the Kremlin reacted angrily to comments by senior Western officials about the war in Ukraine. The drills are in response to what Russia calls provocative statements and threats of certain Western officials regarding the Russian Federation. It is the first time that Russia has publicly announced drills involving tactical nuclear weapons, though its strategic nuclear forces regularly hold exercises. Tactical nuclear weapons have a lower yield compared to massive warheads that arm intercontinental ballistic missiles intended to obliterate entire cities. The announcement appeared to be a warning to Ukraine's Western allies about becoming more deeply involved in the more than 2-year war. In Russia speak, this means back off West, we have nuclear weapons. It will also make some of the NATO allies worried, as some of Ukraine's Western partners have previously expressed concern about stoking the war amid fears it could spill beyond Ukraine and into a conflict between NATO and Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron repeated last week that he doesn't exclude sending troops to Ukraine, and UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron said Kyiv's forces will be able to use British long-range weapons to strike targets inside Russia. The Kremlin branded these comments as dangerous, heightening tensions between Russia and NATO. The war already has placed significant strain on relations between Moscow and the West. Now let's explain to you what exactly this means. Tactical nuclear weapons include air bombs, warheads for short-range missiles, and artillery munitions, and are meant for use on the battlefield. Russia said the exercise is intended to increase the readiness of non-strategic nuclear forces to fulfill combat tasks and will be held on President Vladimir Putin's orders. The maneuvers will involve missile units of the southern military district along with the Air Force and the Navy. While Ukraine's army is largely pinned down on 1,000-kilometer front line due to shortage of troops and ammunition after more than 2 years of fighting, it has used its long-range firepower, largely from the Western arsenal, to hit targets deep inside Russia. The apparent aim is to disrupt Russia's war logistics system by hitting oil refineries and depots and unnerve the Russian border regions. Russia has pushed Ukraine onto the back foot on the battlefield as Kyiv grapples with shortages of troops and ammunition. Ukraine's difficulties have been deepening for months as the military waited for vital new military aid from the United States. The support was held up in Washington for 6 months. In what has largely been a war of attrition, Russia has also relied heavily on long-range missile, artillery and drones to wreak damage on Ukraine, and that has made the European countries jittery. In France, President Emmanuel Macron reiterated in an interview recently that he doesn't exclude sending troops to Ukraine. He said if the Russians penetrate the front lines, if there is a Ukrainian request, which is not the case today, we should legitimately ask ourselves the question of sending troops. He added, if Russia wins in Ukraine, we will no longer have security in Europe. Who can pretend that Russia would stop there? Macron drew criticism from Russia and Western allies when he first floated the possibility of sending troops earlier this year. One wonders if Russia's reaction to these utterances by the President of France are a calculated show of strength to Europe. The Ukraine war has been caught up in a stalemate for some time now, with Russia having an upper hand as US delayed the aid. But this nuclear flex of Russia is a veiled threat to NATO to mind their own business. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.